Welcome to the 8th Big Brother Canada 3 recap episode of Your Team Number podcast. My name is Michael Harmstone, and joining me as ever, Canada hates him, it's Logan Saunders.
I don't disagree with that statement.
And our little witch, Ben Powell.
Howdy. Bubble, toil in trouble? I don't know.
You can tweet us, as always, using the hashtag YATNcast, or email us at yatncast@gmail.com. So did we enjoy this week?
Yeah. Say what you will about Big Brother Canada's twists and how completely unfair they are, but at least they executed it in a very, very, TV edited well way.
Yeah, there was a couple of things this week that I was like, I would have done it a little bit differently. Like, I would have had Brittany reveal that she had the power rather than Arissa. But there are only minor quibbles, I'm not going to lie. I would have rather that Brittany stood up to do her speech and went, oh, by the way, guess what? I'm safe, so's Godfrey. Zach, Bruno, get your asses on the block. Yeah, I would have rather had her do it in the Matt Hoffman style rather than just have Arissa tell them.
Must anything from Big Brother 12 be repeated ever?
There's some highlights. Again, you want some cookies?
What? No. No means no, Michael.
1,000 times no. Mouth in the shape of a lesser arrow. So, previously, poker star Kevin won HOH, nominated Brittany as a pawn and Bobby as his target. Fearing an all-girl alliance, Bruno fought for Bobby to stay, but it was all for nothing, as Bobby was evicted by a vote of 7-0. Right after Bobby's eviction, house guests competed in the most crucial HOH so far, where they all brought their A game. I love this pun. But it was B who came out on top and went...
That was my pun from last week. They stole my pun.
And went from pawn to queen in 1 hour again. Yeah, I just love that pun. It made me laugh. Both when you said it and when the voiceover said it.
Who did it better, Michael?
Oh, you 1,000 times, Logan.
Excellent. Good answer, as they say on Family Feud.
YATNcast loyalty. At the veto, Zach and Kevin kicked it into high gear, but Bruno won and saved Zach from nomination, leading to Willow being the replacement, and Peely was saved by the house, and Kevin and Willow were sent to the jury. What were you going to say, Ben?
No, I was just commenting on how, I was like, oh, Logan, you did this so good. Just that. It was going on for a while, so I was like, wrap it up, ladies, wrap it up.
Yeah, he was sort of fishing for compliments. So as we predicted last week, we did get to see a bit more of the behind the scenes from the triple eviction. So we saw Brittany and Sarah celebrating and deciding to nominate 3 of the Diaper Alliance.
Which is still a terrible name.
Oh, there's a better one this week. There's a better alliance formed that was only mentioned in one scene.
And ended about 10 minutes.
Zach didn't even try and fight for his place with Brittany. And Bruno decides that he needs to get Kevin and Zach on his side to try and combat the Girls' Alliance.
The non-existent Girls' Alliance?
Yeah, the non-existent Girls' Alliance that Bobby orchestrated to try and get Willow out of the house, as we found out.
But Bobby thought it was true.
Can we talk about the whole Girl Alliance thing?
Yeah.
In the whole thing of reality television this week, there's many words that it can be said about, the whole thing, women in sort of strategic games. How is it that male alliances, Big Brother, in Big Brother US and Big Brother Canada, always seem to go through the game unimpeded, and there's always women who support that. But the moment the very concept of a female alliance comes up, it's something that everyone needs to shut down immediately because it's so dangerous. And what is it about the whole concept of females ganging up and taking out the men that gets men so threatened, but women are expected to, lay down and accept that from the men in nearly every single season of Big Brother in the US. It's a freakish double standard, and, it's one of the reasons that I can't really call Big Brother Canada the best Big Brother series on the market, because, it's something that bled through from the US one. It's you know me, you know my values and what I like to see in my reality television, and what I don't like to see is women being ganged up on and taken out just for being women together. So yeah, any word to say on that, or am I just rambling?
I think honestly, it's usually a problem with getting strong women who will work together, because female alliances do tend to combust rather than try and work together. I don't know why that is. but I think they tend to go for, especially in Big Brother, but they tend to go for sort of bimbo-ish women who hate other women, or sort of strong women who just sit there despairingly trying to get women to help them.
Doesn't that really say a lot about the whole situation of females who get cast for these kinds of shows? That like they're taught like from, I don't know how old they're taught, but like they're taught to see other women as like as something to compete against rather than to work with in life in general. That's why feminism is a thing, because there's that need to not just it's not about like making men and women equal. It is mostly, but it's not like about taking away rights from men. It's about giving women the same standing as men in society. And this is like a planned speech. It's just like something I'm sort of coming up from the fly, because it's just been accumulating over God knows how many seasons of Big Brother and Survivor and all that kind of stuff. But like something that I've hated is like how they always cast the type of women that do see other women competition and something to take down rather than like work with. Like I got to say the UR example of this probably in the last year is probably Christine from last season of Big Brother US. Like, she did not like other women, and she like worked with men to get their approval, and then unsurprisingly she was shut off in 6th place. So what's that about?
Did you hear one of Dan's exit interviews from Survivor? He took umbrage with the fact that a feminist roundtable had been cobbled together after Will's fight with Shireen, and called them out on it, basically. Basically being the antithesis of misogyny was the phrase that he used.
Oh no, poor men. Like, it's not like, it's not like every single male in like the world has an easier path through life than women. It's like, on a grand scale, misandry is not a real problem or a real thing that anyone can really face. Like, yeah, there can be individual cases in situational stuff, but like, to act like there's a big conspiracy against men because you're not allowed to, say you want to punch a woman in the face or whatever. Like, what does that say?
Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to being rid of this Survivor season, because hopefully the public will make the correct choice with Survivor Second Chances, and we won't.
You give them way too much credit.
Yeah, we won't have stupid people on there. As long as we don't have certain people in the cast, I'll be fine. I just really don't want to see people like Brad Culpepper come back.
He'd be a better choice than like most of the cast. Like Vetus. Ugh.
Vetus used to totally come to Cambodia.
Vetus or Spencer, even though Spencer's obviously coming back.
Yeah, Spencer and Cass are basically locks. But I mean, come on, we want to see people like PG and Varna and K-Wig.
I want to see Varna if Kimmy's coming back too.
Yes. I mean, you know full well they've both been on my ballots since day one, because I want to see them back.
Like, the only like quote old school unquote person I don't want to see back is Terry Deeds, because I think he's the worst kind of reality television contestant. And
Savage as well. I don't particularly want to see back just to wind up Probst.
Well, he's obviously coming back. It's like it's a quote. I'm gonna be using visual, like verbal air quotes a lot, but quote public poll unquote. But that really means that, like, there's a fine print down the bottom that says producers have the authority to overwrite that and cast whoever the hell they want, basically.
Not anymore. They changed that in the past week to say that the cast will be entirely public voted.
Yeah.
So basically, if Savage doesn't get on, Probst isn't going to be very happy, but he can't do anything about it.
Yeah. If you believe that, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to tell you. So that would not leave the choosing of the cast entirely up to the public. There's like casual fans out there who are like, oh, I'm going to vote for her. Seems nice. Oh, I like that guy's hair. It looks luxurious. I'm going to vote for him. Oh, I recognise that person. I'm voting for them. If you want to see 5 of the cast from last season back, on the current season for no other reason than it was just the season that aired, well, whatever then. Anyway, this was a Big Brother Canada podcast, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Willow got nominated because she's a wild card and Brittany doesn't know what she's going to do, and also to try and split up her and Sarah, which is quite calculating from Brittany, really.
And how much short a time that they had for the triple eviction, where she only had about, probably about a minute to think on her own without Sarah around? And I mean, goes back to even last week when we were talking about how we briefly saw the conversation where Brittany was already tossing around the idea of nominating Willow right from the get-go of having HOH that night.
I'm not surprised. I'm impressed more than anything, because I think that was a brilliantly awesome move.
And I think that Bruno, we definitely saw with Bruno that he just completely messed up with playing the veto because he was floating around in the middle, had good relationships with every single person in the house, and then just completely exposes his true intentions by saving Zach and then getting into a fight with Sarah and then isolating himself away from Brittany, and those two were really close. So he went from having working relationships with 6 other people in the house to being reduced down to, well, I know I'm close to Zach, and I hope that Ashley and Peely think the same way.
Also, it was quite interesting at the start of the week when we saw Bruno go from sort of middle of the rankings to dead bottom as soon as he shouted at Sarah.
Where does the Sarah only shirt? Everywhere.
Yeah, who has been top of the polls for weeks now.
I want to know where this image that Sarah is the best, the fantastic game player and, the real force behind the Brittany-Sarah relationship. As far as I can say, it's been Brittany that's been doing most of the legwork. She's been the one winning competition. She's been the one, putting all these plans into action. She's the one who got Greg and Kevin and Willow out, and now Bruno out of the house as well. So, and all Sarah's done is save herself from the block ones, and, yeah. So I want to know, is it like the JT Steven effect from Survivor, where Steven looks like a strategist because he has glasses, so people use that mental gymnastics where they assume that he's the one making the decisions and doing all this stuff because he looks the part?
I think it's more that Sarah is a much more vocal character.
And she gets a lot more airtime than Brittany does in the episodes. Pretty much all season long, we see a lot of Sarah every single episode.
Yeah.
We don't get anywhere near as many Brittany scenes. So I think it's just airtime alone that's a huge factor in Sarah's popularity and overall impression versus Brittany.
Having said that, if it was a Brittany-Sarah Final 2, which would be awesome, Brittany would win hands down.
And I love that.
That would be one of the best Final 2s ever.
Not only that, but all over the world, you count Canada, US, UK, Australia. Do you know how many non-white winners there have been?
June? That's the only one I can think of that comes to mind right away.
Brian Bello?
There's been 4 or 5. There's been June Song from Big Brother 4 in the US, Brian Bello, Trevor Knight from Big Brother Australia, Shilpa Shetty, and damn it, someone else I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember. Damn it. Yeah, but there's been 58 or so Big Brother winners throughout the past 15 years, and there's only been 4 or 5 of them that have been non-white. Only 2 of them have been non-white women. That's so for Brittany to win, that would be a huge milestone because if we're going by black alone, there's only been two black Big Brother winners in the entire Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Of Canada, UK, all the countries that's mentioned. So so Brittany winning to me would be the best outcome at the end of the season if that was to come about. But I think I'm getting pretty far ahead of ourselves here.
We've only got 2 weeks, Ben.
By far ahead of myself in that we haven't even finished talking about the triple eviction recap yet.
There's not that much more to talk about. Sarah calls Bruno a snake motherfucker.
Yeah, very Samuel Jackson of Sarah. I didn't know that she was familiar with Samuel Jackson quotes.
Logan, are you serious? Everyone knows that Samuel Jackson quotes. He's one of the most quotable movie stars of all time.
I was more thinking Sandra Diaz-Twine, but
yes, that too. Maybe that's who Sarah was really quoting, was Sandra Diaz-Twine from Survivor Pearl Islands. That's really where.
Get in my face, Bruno. Get in my face, Bruno. Get in my face, Bruno.
We saw an unaired quote from Bruno besides the fighting with Sarah where he was really getting into full douchebag mode with when Brittany's trying to think of the replacement for Zach on the block when she's thinking of nominating Willow. And then Bruno's just on the couch saying, "Oh, you gun for me, I shoot back." And I couldn't help but think, Brittany wasn't shooting for you in the first place. You were pretty, other than Sarah, I'm pretty sure that Bruno was the absolute last person that Brittany was going to nominate during that night.
Throughout the season, it's really been like two warring sides. It's been like ever since like at least Jordan's eviction, it's been the Diaper Alliance versus everyone else, and like, you know, there's been the people going in between. Like Bruno and Willow were the ones going in between. Like on one side there was Sarah, Godfrey, Cindy, and Brittany. The other side, Zach, Ashley, Kevin, Jordan, Healy. And there was that thing of Willow and Bruno going in between, and like to do what Bruno did, and to like basically spell out your allegiance to a certain person in front of everyone. That is like the worst move you can do. Like you know me, I don't like talking about gameplay much, but even I know that like that's not what you do if you want to play successfully, doing what you're doing right now.
Not to mention that alliance has been a group of, well, it used to be a group of 4, but now it's been a tight group of 3 for close to 2 months now, and then Bruno's just trying to enter in there at number 4, thinking that Zach is somehow going to separate from them in an odd fashion, which was probably never going to happen.
If you're going to infiltrate an alliance like that, you need to be like, you know, credit where it's due, you need to be like Sierra from this season of Survivor. Like, as much as, like, you know, everyone shut on her for, like, you know, going along when she looked like she was, like, the fifth person in, like, a 5-person alliance or whatever, or the 7th person in a 7-person alliance. Like, she's slowly been making her way up and up and up the totem pole. Like, if the worst case scenario happens for the casual public, and, like, I don't know, both Mike and Carolyn leave in the finale, and it's Sierra, Rodney, and Will in the final Tropic Council, Sierra wins. Like, it's not been that obvious, but holy shit, she's, like, been, like, you know, kind of, like, the silent threat for this whole season. Like, you know, I know edit-wise she doesn't really stand a chance, so this probably won't happen, but, like...
She's basically the Natalie White of the season. She's basically Natalie White to Rodney's Russell Hatt.
I wouldn't go that far. I'd say she would, like, let's say if all the 544s made the merge, she would be like if Liz somehow got rid of Mick, then got rid of a bunch of other people, and then she was like Liz just started slowly making her way up the totem pole and inserted herself into the alliance against their will, basically, because they needed her. That's what I was saying. That's what Willow was doing. She was like, she was silently working along, getting people to trust her, and then like, it wasn't like Sarah's gameplay where she's basically like reeling people in to save herself and save Brittany and save whoever she needs to save. It's like she's working a way that will get her. She's working relationships. She was I should say, because she's gone now. But she was working relationships that would get her further in the game. But like her only real mistake here was was the confusion of the triple eviction and being like a little too low on the safe list and a little too high on the hit list. Because, like, you know, if it had been like Zach who won himself the power of veto, Willow would still be there, and Bruno would probably be gone.
Yeah, probably. So, the HOH competition, which I loved again. They are really, really stepping up their game with sort of set pieces.
It was just funny that right after Bruno says that Sarah is poison, then they have a HOH challenge called Pick Your Poison. I'm thinking, is Bruno just going to pick Sarah for this challenge? Like, what's going to go on here?
But like, whatever you can say about Big Brother Canada as a show, the challenges, the aesthetic is on point. Like they have a look they're going for, and they like, for the ones like the HOH competitions and the stylistic videos that aren't product placement. They really go pedal to the metal when putting forth that aesthetic. Like, just having everything so like precisely themed, like in this. What was the head of household challenge called?
Pick Your Poison. Pick
Your Poison. Like having everything be like so like authentically looking instead of like insert Big Brother 16, insert Big Brother US challenge. Yeah, whatever.
Big Brother, make it stop. I love the idea of this, that instead of making them all do the same endurance competition, you make them split into 3 separate endurance competitions and let them swap if they want to after certain rounds. I just think that's a great idea. So this competition is called Pick Your Poison. Brittany will draw names out of the bag and each person gets to pick their competition, either on the rack, the stake or the stockade. They'll get the opportunity to trade with each other after each round is complete. The last person standing wins HOH. And on the rack, it's Bruno and Zach. On the stake, it's Peely and Sarah. And on the stockade, it's Ashley and Godfrey.
And Peely probably thought the burnt steak was going to be edible. She didn't quite understand what type of steak it was going to be.
No, she just wanted to get off slot. And in the competition, Bruno was targeting Ashley to break up Zach and Ashley and get Zach loyal to him, which is always a good idea.
Another weird love triangle that going on there, you know. Brittany separates Willow from Sarah so she can have Sarah all to herself, and now Bruno wants Ashley out so he can have Zach all to himself. What's going on this season?
I don't know, but Brittany was relishing her hosting capabilities this time. She was loving using that whip.
More than Indiana Jones.
To be honest, who hasn't been this season?
Brittany's hosting was sort of up there with Sarah's hosting of the KFC veto for me, in terms of knowing full well that the camera will be on you whenever you do anything, and just having fun. So, the stockade involves balancing a ball on a thin piece of pipe held up by the stocks around your neck if the ball drops you out. The stake is balancing on a pole with thin pedal stools, either the Classic Survivor Challenge or Lumberjack and Jill. And the rack involves keeping yourself pulled up on a slope by holding onto handles.
Classic Survivor Fiji Final Immunity Challenge classic.
Yes, I want them to bring that challenge back because it is one of my favourite final immunities.
Minus the vibrations.
Yeah, minus the vibrations and with running water as well.
Yeah, the vibrations would have caused Cassandra to fall off earlier. And you know what I'm going for there, so... Because I'm like 16 years old. I'm like 16 years old or something.
For all you can say about Survivor Fiji, that was a badass final immunity challenge. Just the build on it, having probes turn the wheel. So, does anyone know the Godfather rules for throwing a competition?
Number 1, have your game face on.
I thought it was... Number 1, start the neurotoxin immediately. Number 2, no portable services. Number 3, bombs. Bomb-proof shields for me. Number 4, bombs for throwing at you. Number 5, booby trap the stalemate button.
I'm so lost right now.
Oh, I get it.
Finally.
Yeah, I haven't played Portal.
You've not played Portal?
No, I've never played Portal.
Oh my god. Logan, I don't know you anymore. It's like the definitive game of the 21st century Portal. The definitive puzzle game of the 21st century. That's like saying you never played Super Mario Brothers, basically.
I am not a PC gamer, and I loved Portal 2. Because me and my brother just played the multiplayer against each other, one room apart, and just basically kept chucking each other into the goo. And it was awesome. And all I could hear was just my brother shouting obscenities at me through the wall whenever I started aiming lasers at him, for example. Which happened a lot.
There's also physics puzzles, so they're good too.
In the same way that Pull Blocks or Pushmo, or whatever it's called in North America, is a game that you should play if you have a 3DS. Because I'm playing the 3-Call at the moment. So the Godfather rules for throwing a competition are get your game face on, start to struggle, and then cry on the bench. And Godfrey is the only person to drop out during the first round after he throws the competition after a few minutes, and drops the stockade ball.
This is a lesson that Kevin should have really learned, is how to throw a competition without drawing attention to yourself.
Yeah, poor Kevin.
The difference to me between like Godfrey throwing a competition and Jordan or Kevin throwing a competition is like, you know, Godfrey just sort of has that little wit to it and makes it entertaining, but all Jordan and Kevin do when they just throw the competitions is just brag about it. I'm throwing competition to make myself look weaker and get me further in the game. These people are so stupid, they're the worst players of all time. Blah, 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 blah.
I think the difference is that Godfrey will try and win a competition if there's a prize involved. If he can win 250,000 Wyndham reward points or $10,000 from KFC or however much it was, he will go full pelt to try and win that competition. But if there's nothing in it for him, why try and win?
And Gottfried's always really good with commentary all throughout this season, really. Once we started seeing him a few weeks ago, you realize that he's pretty much the go-to guy if you want him to comment on any situation that's going on, because most of the time, Godfrey is pretty much right.
You know, if I had to, name the top 3 confessional givers of 2015, it'd be, I'm not sure in what order I'm going to rank them, but, 1 would be Jen from Survivor, 2 would be Godfrey from this season, and 3 would be Katya from RuPaul's Drag Race. Look her up. Even though you two are straight guys who aren't interested in drag queens, just look up Katya anyway.
Yeah, all I know is Ron Paul's Drag Race.
Look her up anyway.
After the first round, Ashley and Zach decide to switch. And then everything starts getting crazy. The smoke increases for anyone on the stake, and they've got to climb to a higher foothold. The rack starts vibrating. Big brother, make it stop. And the stockade...
I just want to see my family.
No. As much crap as I have given Ashley for basically being just Zach's puppet, yeah, she was pretty funny this week.
Yeah, but to think she's only Zach's puppet is to discount her, just to take the entire thing at face value, because Big Brother US has a long history of not just Big Brother US, or Big Brother Canada, just, a lot of reality television competitions in general has a long, history of this part ties back into the whole Brittany, Sarah / JT and Steven thing I was talking about before, where if someone looks at the part of the strategist, they generally get the confessionals saying strategy, but that doesn't make a person they're working with, their strategy, any less valid. Ashley, from what we've seen of her, I haven't personally seen any reason to discount her as a valid member of the Diaper Alliance, because she does well in competitions. She does well in competitions. She puts her ideas forward, but she hasn't been a Pilar where it's kind of frustrating to hear her put sentences together. But it's I've minded her more than Zach and Kevin talking about how they're controlling the women. And it's tinted with a lot of misogyny, which I'm really not comfortable with hearing. But I guess kind of by default, she's my favorite member of the Diaper Alliance.
Yeah, but until this week, we've not really seen that much of her out of the context of Zach.
Yeah, but if you use common sense, you know that it's just because she's not getting confessionals, it doesn't mean she's not taking part in the whole decision making process, because it's an alliance of 4 people. You can't have one person sending messages through the chain of command. It's not the chain in the Amazon. It's you need everyone to feel like they're making a decision. Ashley, the fact that all 4 of them are still in alliance means that they all feel like they're making contributions and decisions together. It's not, despite what the confessionals say, it's obviously not Zach or Kevin issuing orders and Ashley and Peely following them without question. It's obvious that Ashley and Peely are making parts in decisions as well. It's just the show has not been showing them because, well, they're not very camera friendly because they suck at giving confessionals. But just because they're women and just because they're in a showman's and an alliance with 2 guys who are a bigger presence on the show, it doesn't mean we need to discount them from the equation.
I just meant that we've not really seen much of Ashley's strategy because of whatever the producers are giving us and wanting to show Zach and Kevin. But she kicked a lot of ass this week until the twist got in her way. Mainly with Bruno going, Ashman, please, let me see my family. No, I want to see my family.
Bruno really Harrison Forded it through this task.
Bruno got his leg broken by the Millennium Falcon.
No, just like the, where's my family? Where's my family? Want to see my family? Sort of deal. That's what I was going for.
Well, Liam Neeson.
Firewall. Wait, were you referencing Firewall, or were we mistaking Harrison Ford for Liam Neeson?
No, I'm pretty sure isn't that the thing from Family Guy where it's just Harrison Ford trying to find his family, and it just cuts to him with Harrison Ford grabbing people by the collar and just saying, "Where's my family?"
Peely comes off during the second round. Sarah and Zach both drop off during the third round, and Ashley wins.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Not really, though. Not really.
Wrong side of the house wins.
Alliance.
And normally Godfrey doesn't care about these people's pictures, but this goblin's got some hot-ass friends.
Okay, Godfrey.
Which I'm very surprised did not make the quote of the episode from the Big Brother Canada official Facebook page.
Well, they choose shitty quotes anyway. like, for the entire first 3 weeks, they were up Kevin's ass, so I don't really care what they have to say.
And Zach and Bruno are worried about Ashley and Peely making a final 2. And what do Ashley and Peely do?
Make a final 2.
Exactly. And Godfrey goes to each pair and makes a final 3 with them.
That was just great. Everyone totally bought into Godfrey's string of deceptions.
Now that the week has been played out, do you reckon he's actually going to make the... do you reckon he's going to stay with Brittany and Sarah?
I hope so, depending on who wins HOH, though, because I'm going to stay completely unspoiled again this week. So I don't know who won HOH, I don't know who got closest to 100 minutes, I don't know who's nominated or anything.
I'm not going to give it away, though.
Sarah was the target for the week, and Godfrey was told he'll be the pawn by Ashley, and she promises him that he won't go home. Awkward! And Ashley starts getting a bit pissed off that Zach is babysitting her. So, the have-not twist. Canada got to choose 2 have-nots who would then compete, whilst the rest of the house were locked in the HOH room, for the secret power underneath the have-not room.
But they weren't told this at first, were they? Obviously, because it's the secret power.
That's less fun.
Over-the-top prison scenes for like 5 minutes before that.
This is a great way of doing this twist, because they just thought that Canada hated them.
Another cruel twist for Big Brother Canada this season, just to think that they're super unpopular, and they'd be like, "Nope, gotcha."
Psych.
Michael, you've seen Big Brother 5, you know, the season where Nadia won.
Yeah.
You have to agree that the cruel Big Brother is the best Big Brother, right?
Well, yeah, obviously.
If you haven't seen that season, one of the things they did was one of the things that I distinctly remember was they called someone to the diary room and then just like either kept them there for like an hour, or just like said, "Big Brother, remember this punishment and get back to you." And they're completely confused with what they did wrong or something. What other cruel things did he do in that season?
Well, my favourite Big Brother UK things are always here's a seemingly easy task that splits up the house into 2 teams. Oh, by the way, the team that has the crap conditions, yeah, they have a secret room where they can go to like a hot tub or a pantry filled with lots of food.
I'm talking about cruel Big Brother, though. Cruel as in, like, you know, taking away Nadia's cigarettes and, like, having a breakdown.
Or
making them, like, repack their bags or whatever.
Or when they start taking away prize money, that sort of thing.
Oh, god damn it, kitten. Anyway, if you haven't gotten so far, like, you know, because I've watched a fair bit of Big Brother UK, and Michael obviously has as well, we're kind of already used to Big Brother being very cruel to its contestants.
But we established this at the start of Big Brother Canada 3, that Big Brother was going to be a bit meaner, and we like that.
I can't remember what we talked about 8 weeks ago, so...
I can. So, nominations were... shortlist was Brittany, Bruno, Godfrey, Sarah, and the nominations were Godfrey and Sarah.
Are they going to be able to do, like, the shortlist next week?
Yeah, I suppose they can, because they'll still be... They won't be able to do it during the double again, but they'll be able to do it the first one, because there'll be 6 people in the house, won't there?
I don't see the point of shortlist this week. Like, say Brittany or Godfrey or Sarah won. Like, the house is split in 3 and 3, so I don't see the point in, like, having the shortlist, because it's going to be like, I can nominate one of the 3 people on the opposite side of the house, or I could nominate one of my allies for no reason whatsoever. Like if Brittany won, like if she put Godfrey up, I have no reason to put up Godfrey, but I might not trust him for some reason. Big 3 actor spends. It just seems rather pointless to have at this point in the game.
As of the double eviction, it's all about winning competitions now to keep yourself safe, because Final 6 is the last time that the HOH really has any power to choose who goes up.
Yeah, you don't want to win. You don't want to win the head of household at the Final 5, do you?
It's usually the worst time, because then you can't even compete for Final 4 HOH, and then you're stuck with a very good probability that you're going to be out at 4.
So Zach was ecstatic that Ashley did exactly what he wanted. Godfrey wasn't planning on winning POV because he's the eviction escape artist. And there are 3 things in Brittany's life that you don't mess with: her family, her friends, and her money.
Can we just talk about how, you know, Brittany is the ultimate porn star, and Godfrey is the eviction escape artist, and they both escaped eviction this week?
Yeah.
That's like I don't even know what to compare that to. That's just like
awesome.
Yeah, let's just go with awesome because I'm liking a thesaurus right now.
So Ashley was worried about lying to Sarah as well, and she burps.
She burps when she gets uncomfortable. That is, she should not. That is a very bad poker tell if Ashley were to be a poker player.
Well, Bruno was sitting right next to her. It's the reason I feel uncomfortable.
I'm sure Kevin would love to play against Ashley and Bobby. Bobby's just so easy to read, and Ashley burps whenever she's lying, so...
I have a secret ace of spades that I can use in the next three hands.
Yeah, but all Kevin will talk about, I'm playing against idiots that don't know how to play at all, and then they get like a straight flush. This game is stupid, it's rewarding the idiots. Rinse and repeat.
For all that we say that Sarah is not the mastermind in hers and Brittany's alliance, she has a very good read on people.
Yeah, her main attribute is her hustle, because she's able to get Godfrey versus Jordan. She was able to help get the numbers to save Godfrey. It wasn't she was a big part in that, and that's her main attribute. Like if her back's against the wall, she can rally people to her side. Like Brittany is the one. I think Brittany is the one that's best at like visualizing plans and putting them into action, but Sarah is the one like getting the numbers.
Yeah.
I think, it's fantastic that they're both on the same side. And they have been for this entire game, and hopefully they'll be the final two. They'll hopefully survive the double eviction.
So Zach lies straight to Sarah's face about Godfrey being the target, and Sarah saw straight through it.
Yeah, non-committal when you're being asked this sort of questions is like a number one way to like make sure nobody who you're talking to trusts you. Like that is the precise reason that Nick got evicted in Big Brother US 15. Because he refused to give Alyssa a straight answer. And so she was like, oh, bye.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I mean, we're down to 7 and the game's over in 2 weeks, but I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do this week.
So the Power of Veto competition. As HOH, Ashley actually gets to play this week. As well as Godfrey and Sarah, the nominees, and Bruno, Zach, and Brittany, who were drawn by the house guests. Which makes Peely the host, by default.
Oh, God.
Actually, that's the point, because it's down to Final 6 this week, the veto should be a big build, because it usually is at Final 6 when no one's hosting.
Can we talk about Peely's hosting abilities? There might be a little bit of... It's a bit uncomfortable to talk about because, English isn't her only language and it's probably not her first language, but that girl was not meant to read things off cue cards or teleprompters, whatever.
Yeah, I wanted to try and avoid this topic too, because that's all I the whole time was thinking. Peely might be the worst host for a competition I think I've seen on Big Brother.
It's not too much of a jab against her as it is against a jab against the format of Big Brother, which doesn't really allow her to, do something that doesn't sound really awkward. Yeah, no other choice.
Yeah, I think if there was another choice, they probably would have gone with it.
It would have been funny if producers suddenly said, right before Peely was going to host, and say, oh, and we're going to have a special guest host this week. We're going to have Gary. Gary's going to host this veto competition. Peely, you can just sit down over there.
Big Brother!
Oh, poor Peely. I know we all I know not so much but she's getting prone to being picked on generally online and stuff, but it's the way that editing goes, I guess.
I think that Peely probably will be around till the final regardless of who wins.
Yeah, I'm going to feel bad if she ends up being just the final two goat at the end and doesn't get any votes or respect from the jurors just because of who she is. That would be tough to watch because I don't think she really deserves that. Just with knowing her personality overall, that would just be... It could be a bit too brutal psychologically for her to go through.
Yeah, she's obviously a nice person. She's caught up in an alliance that's opposing every single person in Canada's favourites. But she's not a bad person per se or an annoying person. She's just sort of not a very TV ready person. And I mean, honestly, she's my second favourite out of the Diaper Alliance, but
that's not saying much.
No, she's my second favourite out of the Diaper Alliance, but that's because she does seem like a nice person, and she does basically she seems like a nice person, and that's really enough for me.
So this competition is called Pin It to Win It. The house watched a video showcasing 25 Ramada locations. They must take it in turns to place pins in a map of Canada. The more that they get correct, the more it will help them in the second part of the competition.
Logan, were half of those actually cities or just syllables put together?
I have to jump in on this one because one of the it's not a city, it's like a village, but one of the villages they listed that there's a Ramada hotel is called 100 Mile House, and I have aunts and uncles and a couple of cousins that live there, and it is probably one of the smallest towns that you can find in BC, and somehow it has a Ramada location. So I'm thinking, there's no way that any of those other contestants have even heard of 100 Mile House. It is that small. Pretty much everything is closed after 8 o'clock in that town, just because there's absolutely nothing to do there. They usually scamper off to another larger town like Kamloops, or they come all the way out here to the Okanagan where they hang out in Kelowna. But 100 Mile House is very small, and I'm amazed that it gets referenced on Big Brother Canada.
And it ends up that Godfrey has 2 correct, Ashley, Brittany and Bruno have 4, Sarah has 5, and Zach has 6. And it's probably been 30 years since Bruno was in high school, so he's probably forgotten his geography.
Oh, another biting piece of commentary from Godfrey.
And don't forget that Regina is the city that rhymes with fun.
Glad to see Canada's just as, immature as the rest of the world. They just have the facade of politeness and niceness to cover it up.
And house guests earned 1 ball for each city that they got right. In each stage of round 2, house guests competed to get a ball in one of the letters that spells out Ramada in a giant Plinko board. The last person to do so in each stage will be eliminated, and the last person standing will win the Power Veto and 250,000 Wyndham reward points.
Bruno has the most fitting quote for this competition. He says, right near the end, he said, "You know what, this competition is 100% luck, and that's what we signed up for." And that is great foreshadowing for what happens on Wednesday.
Good for Sarah for finally winning a video competition, but I guess there's a little bit of skill involved. You have to know which way to put the ball and which guess which direction it'll bounce in, I guess. But good for her. She won a pachinko competition.
Can we just get straight to the wonderful Sarah quote from this veto competition?
There's a wonderful Godfrey quote first, which is, "Right now I got less balls than everyone else, but the Godfather's 2 balls can make up for Zach's 6. There's a lot of Zach deformity quotes in this week, actually. And then Sarah does say, "I cannot wait to get this D and shove it in Zach's A."
Sarah wants to D.
I'm sure Ramada must have loved that their first sponsor of Big Brother Canada resorts to that type of humor.
And also, Zach shouted, "Come on, baby, give me that D," which ironically in my notes is right after Sarah's quote.
Yeah, Canadians are stealth funny, aren't they? Like I said, they have the facade of being polite, but then they have then they have "Hey Zach, want me to squirt in your mouth a bit? Come on, Peely. I hear Kevin loves seafood."
Well, Logan's proof that not all Canadians are nice all the time. Logan gets in with us about being a bit of a dick to people.
Hey Logan, Monica and Cherie.
Oh. The great thing about talking about people who are married to professional athletes is all the luxuries that comes along with repeatedly mentioning that these are people married to professional athletes.
See, Logan, I disagree with you. I think that the fact that they talk about that can actually be funny. That's why they're not last Big Brother 4, Amazing Race 4 for me. It's sort of reached the point where it's sort of self-parody, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And
I get to go through it all over again with Amazing Race 19 and Imani getting to repeatedly talk about football all the time.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as bad as with Monica and Cherie, I don't think.
Touchdown!
Plus, they have the good sense to be funny with it.
There's a 4-minute video on YouTube of just somebody who cut together all of Armani's football quotes from the Amazing Race 19.
And also, right before Amazing Race 19, you've got Australia 1 to go for, and Australia 1's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I guess they would talk about a different type of football in that season.
And you get to finally find out about Focus, Believe, Achieve, and...
Alana and Mel.
Yeah, Alana and Mel, which you've got a subject you're not allowed to make jokes about there.
Oy vey, Michael.
Which is going to be funny. Because otherwise you might have another racer calling you an asshole on Twitter.
Wonderful.
We've been saying it for like 3 or 4 years now, but the real treat is Australia 2. So
yeah.
If you liked Australia 3, you're going to love Australia 2.
Yeah, Australia 3 was kind of a watered-down version of Australia 2. Australia 1 is kind of in the middle in my estimations. I think my order would be 2-1-3, but only just.
Hashtag 213.
Yes! So, Ashley was eliminated in the first round, Bruno was eliminated in the second round, Brittany in the third, Godfrey in the fourth, and Sarah won the power of veto when she beats Zach to the D in the A. And then after the veto, we finally get the reveal of the have-not power. And now my only ally is going on the block. Nothing short of a miracle can save me now. You want a miracle, Sarah? You got a miracle. You get a miracle. You get a miracle. Everybody gets miracles. And Sarah cries at the prospect of being a villain, frowny face. And Brittany gets a bit sassy with Canada. And then, all the money that they put into the have-not room with, like, the spotlights and the safe rising from the floor. But Sarah can't see it without her glasses. And they finally realise that Canada doesn't hate them, and that they must secretly head to the vault, where they will be shown 3 mathematical problems, leading them to a 6-digit code, which unlocks the code for the safe in the have-not room. The first person to type the code in wins the power, and has to keep it a secret from everyone else in the house, including their closest ally, who they've just competed against.
You know what the funniest part about the whole safe coming out of the ground is that they spend all that money on the spotlights and the safe slowly emerging, and then after all this happens, they have this just cheap little thing rolled down with the instructions from the ceiling. I thought, that's a real big step down.
Where can they go next season as well for hiding stuff in the house? They obviously can't hide it in the have-not room anymore. They can't use the vault room.
Hide in the diary room. Season 3 is Celebrity Big Brother. Like, how they had the first person to go to the diary room had to crawl through a thing, and they could their secret task that was they could that or whatever, where they could had a tape and they could see someone talking shit about them in confessional. Like Caprice got to see John talking shit about her, and then she fumed over it, and then she exploded onto him.
So Brittany wins the challenge and the power,
despite the ribbons. Those nasty, filthy ribbons.
And she has at least 1 diamond power veto and can perform a full coup d'etat if she chooses. And if she reveals the power to anyone, she will lose it. And we get to see her skills at fake crying as well.
Pretty good fake crying.
What would have happened if Sarah would have won HOH? Because she wouldn't have been eligible to be have-not, so it probably would have been Brittany versus Godfrey. And if Brittany would have still won, then Sarah would have got a bit pissed off at her using a veto. Or a coup.
Well, it just would have meant that somebody else from the Diaper Alliance goes anyway. Sarah probably would have nominated Bruno and Zach, and then with Brittany's power, she probably would have just taken Zach off, and then Peely or Ashley would have been up, and Bruno goes anyway.
Yeah, what I would have done in that situation if my ally was HOH, I would have just, told them about the power.
But you can't.
Yeah, if you do, you lose the power, but you don't need the power, so it then just negates it.
I think in the instructions it said that you can be instantly evicted if you reveal that you have the power. It's the same deal that they told Kevin with the instant eviction.
Well, that's less fun. Spoil sports.
It's how they keep people in line. They do it a lot on the Australian one, but they basically if a production favourite starts to bend the rules, they conveniently ignore the rules. But they're like, hey, don't do this or you're leaving. Don't reveal the secret or you're leaving. That it's instant. It's probably not a very good thing because it's to do the very first thing to lowball them with threatening to evict them from the other house immediately is sort of you've got nothing else to threaten them with.
So Brittany needed to pretend that being on the block for the 5th time was heartbreaking to her, and Godfrey campaigns for Sarah not to use the veto to not hurt poor Ashley's feelings.
Don't make her nominate another person. You've already done enough damage to Ashley for 1 week. Look at the despair. She's already burping. She's already uneasy at the thought of another nomination.
And Sarah obviously vetoes herself and is replaced by Brittany. No hard feelings.
Not the pawn this time.
And then the fun episode of the week. All the eviction stuff. This was really a character assassination for most of the Diver Alliance and Bruno as well.
I have a question. Do you think that when Sarah and Brittany were doing that whole chase for the power thing around the house and everybody else was locked in the HOH room, did they think that anything major was going on? Do you know if that came up on the live feeds at all of the five of them just suspecting that Sarah and Brittany probably did something to, like, some sort of competition?
I'm not sure, because you'd think that if two people were being isolated that something was going on, but maybe they just have the occasional HOH lockdowns for everyone, but the have-nots and the have-nots have to go in the have-not room.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, despite what you can say about the Big Brother Canada production team, they wouldn't, you know, do something completely out of the ordinary that could risk exposing a major twist. Maybe, like, the excuse was that they're, like, I don't know, a light bulb was broken and they need to send a team to repair it or something. And, like, at night, it's convenient to lock all the normal contestants in the HOH room and the have-not room.
Yeah, I'm not sure what time of day it was they were running this, whether it was actually during the afternoon or whether it was evening.
I'm pretty sure it was night because Brittany and Sarah were trying to sleep.
Well, they didn't have any mattresses in there, though, did they?
Yeah, but they were trying to sleep.
Yeah, I assume they would probably... I thought at first, like, why isn't there anybody else now? Because this was before they revealed that everyone was sequestered in the HOH room, so I thought, oh, maybe it's like 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning when they're doing this. But even then, I'm thinking, it could have still been that time, because house guests love to stay up late anyways and sleep in during most of the morning.
As we found out last week with Zach and Kevin's punishments.
Indeed.
So Brittany picks everyone's brains to work out who to nominate in her place, and Zach blatantly tells her to her face that she's a threat.
And Bruno does not. Bruno once again probably screws up for about the 4th or 5th time in the past week.
Bruno wants no one to play emotionally after the eviction. Oh, Bruno, I hope that you live up to that promise. And Brittany considers Bruno being the replacement after he can't give her a straight answer, and Ashley doesn't know what province she's in, after we discussed that last week with Mr. Sargwar. Okay, we'll stop, we'll make sure you can get a job after this, to quote Zach. And Brittany needs to psychically reassure Sarah without telling her what's going to happen. And Godfrey gets probably my quote of the week. I'm not trying to be mean, but talking to Pilar is one of my least favourite things in the house.
And once again, Peely is thrown under the bus.
Yeah, she's getting an interesting edit.
But unfortunately, Godfrey gets blood on his hands in the process.
Sweat on his hands, I think, in this case, with all those push-ups.
I like how we're completely destroying all these cliches of, like, blood on the hands, target on the back, thrown under the bus, best for me in my game, all that sort of stuff. Just like...
I'm really glad that we're not going to be covering the UK or US seasons. Because just the bitching about throwing under the bus and that sort of thing would get quite boring.
I don't know. I'd want to cover the UK season just so I can like fawn over like the greatest female of the season again, like, you know, a la Alex or Dina or Gina or Ashley
or Eileen.
Well, she's not the greatest. Yeah, that's even not over. Like, the greatest usually makes 3rd place or 2nd place in the case of Ashley.
And we have a new alliance formed.
The Generals, which work out about as well as the Generals against the Harlem Globetrotters. So, very fitting short-term alliance name.
It's Bruno and Zach. That went well.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, that really was not a good idea.
We're gonna bulldoze this, man. We're gonna bulldoze this. I told B that she has a great personality, would win a personality contest. Oh, this is great. Can't wait to see my family.
Doesn't great personality usually mean you're ugly?
I guess if you ask Daphne and Celeste, that is a possibility.
You've got a lovely personality.
And oddly enough, the lovely personality is exactly the reason why Brittany pretty much gets this power in the first place. So, great personality does go a long way.
Great personality is like, you've got a beautiful face for radio.
You're very matronly.
She's probably got a great personality. Guys love that from behind.
You're bubbly. Bubbly's fat and annoying. So, Sarah gives Bruno one last chance to tell her the truth and work together in the future. He responds by shouting at her, and once Brittany walks in, digging himself a big old nomination-sized hole.
But at least they got to eat a freaking burger. You can't beat a burger, guys.
And the jury house. More amazing Cindy and Jordan scenes.
Cindy really was the best castmate this season.
Yeah, she was.
Like, you know, I know you just supported her at first because of like, you knew you thought she was gonna go early, and you were right. But then she came back and she like made the biggest like game changing move of the season, which like sort of set forward the house and put the season on the right track. And then it's like, this season sort of lived and died with her, and I can't really see it getting as good as it did that week again.
No, unless we get a Brittany or Sarah win. If we get a Brittany and Sarah win, the season probably goes up a couple of points.
Oh yeah, we're getting a Brittany and Sarah win. They're rigging it hardcore.
So Cindy's very high maintenance towards Jordan, and obviously because she took part in the HOH competition, she knew that Kevin won HOH. And Jordan really believed that Bobby had a secret power via. Oh, Jordan, you are oblivious.
You got duped by Bobby. How does it feel, Jordan?
Oh, Kevin, you are an asshole.
I
don't even see the need to you're out of the game with the four of them as well. Like, there's no need to act like you're the best player there when you're not even the highest placing player there. Like, Willow outlasted you, so eat some crow.
And Bobby's the one who spread the rumour there was an all-girl alliance, basically leading to Willow getting evicted.
You ruined my life, Bobby.
That's actually, out of all the stuff, that was probably my favorite quote of the week. Because it's from what little we've seen of Willow, because she didn't get much screen time this season, that perfectly encapsulates her. Over dramatic, but over dramatic to the point of needlessness. Bobby, you ruined my life.
I like how they all speculated that she was going to be Final 2 as well, just because they were thinking along the same lines as we were, that Willow was pretty much riding the game perfectly, but she pretty much just got caught, won by a huge twist, but also that Brittany was really the only one onto her as to what was going on.
And Brittany only really nominated her to keep Sarah over herself.
It's also funny with with Jordan and Cindy being at the jury house together, with Jordan being made to do everything. So, we saw Brittany have a whip earlier in the week, but I think Cindy works the whip a lot better than Brittany did.
As long as it's not a Jeff and Bracky situation.
That's very true. Or if there's a yummy, or a dinner with a yummy mummy in the room as well.
So the eviction, why on earth did Arissa get to reveal Brittany's power? That's half the fun of her standing up and going, oh, by the way, bitches, 2 safe necklaces, suck on that.
Imagine if Sarah or Brittany win at the end of the season, and then we all do a rating out of 10, and then Michael posts a rating saying, oh, it'd be 9 out of 10, but it would have been a 10 if Brittany got to reveal her power on eviction night rather than Arissa.
This season isn't even close to being a 9 out of 10, though, so there's no need to worry about that.
This is legitimately something that I will gripe about with this season, because the whole point of a secret power is to keep it secret until you use it, rather than have Arissa go, oh, by the way, guys, when you were locked in the HOH room, yeah, Brittany and Sarah were competing. It kind of takes half the fun out of Brittany being able to stand up and go, yeah, safe necklace, Zach, get your ass up here. Safe necklace round Godfrey's neck. Bruno, get your ass up here. Have fun, guys.
By the way, Bruno, you're screwed.
XOXO.
Why did she choose Zach and Bruno as well?
Zach is the pawn, and she wanted Bruno out. Seemed pretty straightforward to me.
I wouldn't have put those two up, though. If I wanted Bruno to go, I probably would have put up Bruno and Peely.
But what about the Old Guys Alliance?
Yeah, but Zach going would still be a good alternative. But if Peely went, it'd be that would have been a waste of power.
Yeah, true. And Sarah took over Kevin's mantle trying to flirt with Arissa.
And she shut that down.
Yeah. Hi, Arissa, you look please vote to evict. It's no Golden Goddess, sadly, but...
Yeah. And they are all votes to evict...
Bruno!
He gets to see his family.
Yeah, he gets to see his family briefly, and then, gets shipped off to
jury house.
Who wants to see him go to the jury house?
Nobody. In fact, we'd rather hang ourselves.
So, the HOH competition for next week is called 100 Minutes of Hell. Each person must stay lying down in a box and must hit the buzzer next to said box after they think 100 minutes has passed. There will be some distractions during the challenge, I'm assuming involving creatures as well, like cockroaches or something, because it looks like an I'm a Celebrity challenge. But the first of which seems to be cold air blasting in their faces. The person who hits their buzzer the closest to 100 minutes, whether they go over or under, will be the new head of household. And I like to see the return of this challenge. This is a classic Big Brother US challenge that they've abandoned for a while now, and I'm very glad to see it back.
Peely knows its minutes, right? This time, like, she's gotten over that last tiebreaker for HOH. Like, she's not gonna be there for, like, 10 hours or something like that, waiting to press the red buzzer.
Peely thinks that they've got to lie in the box for 100 hours. Just sort of sleep there whilst cockroaches are on them, and...
It has to be, like, one of those montages where it goes from, like, spring to summer to autumn to winter, you know? Like, almost like King of the Hill intro-esque type thing, or the dog in Futurama waiting for Fry for 15 years. That sort of deal.
Don't bring that up. My heart can only take so much.
Yeah, that is pretty much the most depressed. I saw that episode when it aired, and I was only 9 or 10 at the time. And being the dog lover that I am, that episode took me like weeks to get over, because that just hurt my spirit in general.
I'm still not over it.
So, who do we think is going to be evicted next?
Guess we're going to be down to our final four when we podcast next time.
As I predicted a couple of weeks ago, we are getting another double eviction in week 9. And then obviously Final 4, Final 3 and Final 2 will be done in week 10. So, who do we think are going to be the victims of our final double eviction?
I think the first victim will be Ashley, because I think they'll try to get rid of Zach, but they'll save him. If Godfrey or Sarah or Brittany win the head of household, which I think might happen. If they win the head of household, like try to go after Zach, he'll win the veto, and then Ashley will be the next target.
Who do you think will be the victim of the double?
I think one of Sarah, Brittany, or Godfrey.
I'm going to go for... It's going to be Zach or Ashley for the first one, and I think Godfrey for the second one.
I will have to go against that, and I think Zach will go, and then probably Brittany's going to go next, I think those two will be walking out the door on double eviction night.
And finally, who do we think is going to win?
Willow?
Brittany. I think Brittany.
I think Brittany or Sarah.
Godfrey's going to take it. He's all alone. He's working everybody. He's going to get all the way to the end.
And the final question, who will be in second place?
Peely.
Sarah.
Peely. I think that it's going to be a Brittany, Sarah, Peely final 3, and whichever one of Brittany and Sarah wins the final HOH will cut the throat of the other one in a John and Neda style.
It's just tough for me to picture a scenario, even if because we're pretty much all done with twists, other than this double eviction, but done with like a Twisto's twist, because this last week was the last one. So I think that there's really not going to be a scenario, no matter who wins HOH from each side of the house, because we're essentially 3 versus 3 right now. I think pairs are essentially done for the... I think pairs was more of a thing for last week, and now it's just 3 versus 3, and then, like, if Sarah and Brittany are still alive after this round, then they have to be broken up, and then if, like, Zach or like, Ashley and Peely are alive after this round, they'll have to be broken up, and I just think that no matter how it breaks down, that Peely's probably going to be brought to the end.
Yeah, I think Peely will be the GOAT, or the sort of easy jury win, but I think Sarah and Brittany will get together to the final 3 and then compete for who's going to have the right to take Peely, basically. So, anything else to add about this week?
No, I think covered it. So,
thank you very much for listening. We will be back next week for our penultimate recap episode of Big Brother Canada 3 on YATNcast. If you want to follow any of us on Twitter, you can do so at the handles down below. And you can join the 3 of us to recap the finale of Amazing Race 26 on Sunday. See you next week.
Hashtag 250, hashtag Okanagan 250, peace.
Hashtag Super Kawaki.
Logan, I swear to God.